Okay, guys, welcome. Today we're discussing the Qatar failed bid, and basically Sir Jim has taken over in a somewhat capacity, a 25% capacity. He's basically effectively, it's done. That's kind of what's going to happen. Sir Jim has won the bid, and it appears that everyone is upset. It appears that everybody's upset, and everybody is down. They're out. Manchester United is over. Manchester United will never be the same again, and that's it. Forget it. I've seen people donating into the United stand. I'm changing club. I might just support Brighton. Okay, so obviously, in an ideal fashion, you have somebody take over the entirety of the club, and they say, goodbye, owners. We're going to do things differently. That's what people seem to think Qatar were doing. They've been led astray by Qatar PR, because this is the reality. This is the reality that none of the YouTubers seem to be talking about. So if you enjoy this take and you enjoy a different approach on this channel, let me know. Here is what I've been saying for the longest time, and this is what a journalist has been saying. One source told us that was close to the process to say Manchester United is a prized asset is underplaying it. If you're seriously rich and you want to buy a yacht, you go and get one. If you want to buy a house, a fast car, you go and get one. But all of a sudden, if you're in a room with your peers and they've all gone and done that too, when you go into that room and you say, actually, I own Manchester United, you've won that room, and they can go and buy more yachts and make more yachts and supercars and super houses, but there cannot be another Manchester United. Nobody else can own Manchester United. There will only ever be one, and the opportunity to acquire it arose. And by all accounts, Jim Ratcliffe's team have been savvy because they are now in. They are in Manchester United and they are a part of it, and Qatar are not. And here's what I've got to say. It doesn't matter if people are spouting this nonsense of, oh, well, it's only worth 4 billion. It's only worth 3 billion. It's only worth 5 billion. This is the spin you're going to hear over and over and over again. Oh, they offered 5.5 billion and 1.5 billion worth of renovation post-sale. How can they not accept that? Well, I'll tell you why they can't accept it, because of this reason. It doesn't matter if the bid was 5 billion. They own the product, and they can ask for whatever figure they want. They can ask for 50 billion, and nobody can ever make another Manchester United. This isn't somebody going to sell their phone and saying, look, I've got a golden iPhone, I want 50 billion for it. And then somebody saying, oh, I'll just go make my own. I'll go get something similar. You can't get anything similar to Manchester United. It is a unique one-of-one product, and the value is set by the seller, and that is the only thing that matters. So I don't get why people are saying, oh, but it's not worth that. The offer was fair. That's not how it works. If you own the only item in the world and there's no more, there's never going to be another one made. Let's say, for example, all the gold in the world is wiped out somehow. Click your fingers, all the gold in the world is wiped out, and you've got the only gold ring. You might say, well, it's not worth more than £500. But if you're the only one and there's never going to be another one, you can charge whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the base price or the value is. They had the chance to effectively, this is Qatar, they basically had the chance to spend an extra billion and get the most famous club, the prestige club, the one that they dreamed of owning, and they bottled it. And you might say they didn't bottle it, they offered 5 billion. Yes, but they penny pinched, and this is what people have moaned about the Glazers doing. And you're going to say, how can you say they've penny pinched? They've offered what it's worth. No, not once throughout this entire process, use your brains, not once throughout this entire process have Qatar actually offered the sell price. Not once. They wanted 6.5 billion? They never ever offered that. What they're trying to say is, oh, well, we'll do 5.5 and then we'll put another 1.5 into the club once you're gone. They don't care once they're gone. It's like trying to say this, oh, I'm going to sell you this phone, and I know it's worth £50, but I'm going to give you 30 for it. And then once you've got my £30, I'm going to spend £20 on doing it up. Going to buy it a nice case, going to fix the cracked screen, all this stuff. It doesn't matter. I don't own the phone. I don't care. You have not offered the price that I'm willing to sell it at. Effectively, Qatar have pissed around for an entire year, lowballing. They haven't given the offering price, and it's no surprise they didn't get it. They've never once offered the price that was asked, and it's really weird that people are spinning this. Now, Sir Jim, who is not my preferred owner, I'd prefer anybody to own it in its capacity, has thought, I can't offer the asking price, but I still really want Manchester United, but at this moment, I can't offer the asking price. So what he did was he got in there and he said, okay, I'll give you 25%. I'll take 25% and I'll give you some money and then I'm in. And then eventually we'll take over the rest. You might not like that. It might not be the best thing for Manchester United, but you can argue Sir Jim did everything he could to own the club. He turned up. Qatar never turned up. This man that famously wanted Manchester United more than anything in the world, he couldn't even be bothered to turn up to Old Trafford. He sent some bankers for him. At least Sir Jim turned up. So what they're going to do is it says the deal offered by Sir Jim to buy 25% of Manchester United and seize control is highly unusual and it's a compromise. So what he's trying to say is, oh right, the Glazers, all you really want to do is sit back and leech some money. Okay, you sit back and leech some money, but I'm going to take care of the football. Doesn't sound that bad. And to be honest, I'd be lying if I wasn't part happy, because you don't have to put up with the whole Qatar state ownership. And look, I know you all may want it, and I know it might sound like dreamland. You get an amazing stadium and the next couple of years you win a league. But be honest with yourself. If Qatar rolled up and spent £3 billion and in 2 years' time we won the league, would we be any different than any other club? Would we? Really? I mean, look, it might be exciting once. It might be the initial buzz of getting over the Glazers. But the reality is, we actually have spent a lot of money. Yes, granted, it's not the Glazers' money, but we've spent it terribly. We're not... Now, maybe facility-wise, and maybe that's why the players can't get up to the standard required. Maybe the facilities are a bit rubbish. But we are buying as expensive players as these Man Cities, as Liverpools, as Chelseas, who have won things like Champions Leagues and leagues since we've won one. And why is that? Because the people in charge of it are a little bit more suited and a little bit more sensible to actually understanding how to win a league and win a football game. Our owners don't care. So by the sounds of it, what Sir Jim's tried to do is say, I'll just take care of the football side. And everyone's parroting like, yo, it's Qatar, man. How can you say no to Qatar? It's the end of the world. Manchester United are one of the rare clubs that actually don't need Qatar. We don't. What we need is owners that don't take a load of money and just put in a little bit, just a little bit of money, which maybe Sir Jim will do. And look, here's why I'm not that bothered, because these Mark Colbridges, these United stand people that are now acting like it's the end of the world, they had a platform with millions and millions of subscribers, hundreds of millions of views, probably billions of views at this point on their channel. And they didn't once say, look, we're not buying shirts. We're not putting the new shirt on the video. We're not going to games. We're going to organise protests. We're going to organise like borderline riots, whatever, right? Now they're coming out and they're saying, oh yeah, we should have done more. We should have done riots. We should have maybe emptied the stadium. We shouldn't have just had a sing-song. Well, it's too late. You had your opportunity as a huge channel to do something about it, and now going around it after the fact and calling Sir Jim an enemy is... I honestly think it's a bit daft. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not really the enemy. Now, if you look at it at face value, well, he's allowed the Glazers to stay, so he's the enemy. Okay, that makes sense. But if Sir Jim Ratcliffe wasn't there, the Glazers would have just carried on exactly the same. Jim Ratcliffe is actually now going to try change things. And the ridiculous thing is, the main priority here is the football. Look at Tottenham, right? You can have the best stadium in the world, mate, as Tottenham's, but if you've not got a team, it doesn't matter. So yes, Qatar might have come in and done a fancy stadium, but we can do things without stadium. The stadium doesn't stop you winning a league. Leicester won the league. So, effectively, yes, Ineos will hope to implement the many learnings from Nice, the club he owns, where after some false turns, the team sits second in League One after a transformation of senior staff, and they've got younger and hungrier squads with a training facility upgrade. They got a new chief executive. They got a younger manager who has been now part of De Zerbi's coaching staff, and they're now, sitting basically almost at the top of the pile, and they're going to try and help Manchester United. Everybody's trying to spin it that it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Manchester United are not going to get relegated because Qatar haven't taken us over. Yes, it would be ideal if some, I don't know, rich Chinese or rich Indian guy that loved Manchester United just said, look, I'm chucking all my wealth into Manchester United to make them win. But that's not going to happen. And if Qatar wanted Manchester United as much as people think they did, the guy would have turned up to Manchester United. He would have turned up to the physical Manchester United, and he would have just spent that extra billion. It's a drop in the ocean for them. He doesn't want it as much as people think they do. If they really wanted it, they would have just said, look, be honest with us. How much is it going to cost to buy this club, like to shift you? Because after you put the bid in of 5 billion and there's no budging, there was 9 months. During that process, there's got to be a point where they go, look, not much is happening. Are you actually selling or not? And if the only way we can get in is that you're selling, what's the price? Oh, it's 7 billion, it's 8 billion, it's 5, it's 6, it's whatever. Okay, here's your money. Goodbye. We're taking over. But they didn't do it, did they? So everybody's now saying it's the end of the world. Qatar's not here. We're going to be relegated. We're never going to win another football match again. Yes, it's not the greatest day, is it? Ideally, we would have been sold and the Glazers would have gone. But it's not the end of the world, is it? And coming out with this, oh, well, we should have done more. We should have emptied the stadiums. Yeah, we should have done, which is what people have been saying for ages. But it doesn't help when you've got big channels like the United stand sitting there in the brand new kit talking about, oh, the Glazers don't care. Yeah, the Glazers don't care, mate, because you keep doing that kind of shit. Mark Goldridge was saying, oh, I don't know if to just retire. I don't know if to retire. Don't know whether I'm going to watch. I don't know whether I'm going to do this or that. What? Because a guy that said he was going to buy Manchester United, we've only ever seen 4 pictures of him, and he never even turned up, didn't buy the club. We're now finished, are we? All we need is some proper people and some proper players. We don't need a £2 billion stadium. We don't need a £5 billion training ground. We don't need to renovate the entirety of Manchester. Leicester won the Premier League. You just need a good squad and a good system. The same way Brighton are doing it. They're doing it above their means because they've got a good system. That doesn't require oil money. It might just require a little bit of change. And we've won under the Glazers before. We can win under the Glazers again. Should they be there? No. But this idea that Sir Jim is the enemy and there'll be never another good moment as a Manchester United fan, it's really ridiculous. And you've got to look out for who's saying it and what their agenda is, because they're not being objective here at all. It's a one-off product and the seller controls the price. And he said it's 6.5 billion. And Glazers said it's 6.5 billion. And Qatar went, here's 5, but we promise once you've sold, we'll put the 1.5 into the club. They don't care. They don't care about the club. So pay the money or, do what Sir Jim did and get creative and try and figure a way of how do you get your foot in the door? Because by the way, he could have matched Sir Jim's offer and said, oh, well, I'll give you 20% for some money. Not 25%, and then I'll get in and then I'll fully take over in 3 years. But he didn't. He wanted to try get it on the cheap. Let's be real. So yeah.